Tonya, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I missed you at TIFF this year. Were you there?
Are you kidding? I saw you over there at the CFC barbecue. I was waving my hands, but you didn't see me.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry, because I would have dragged you over so we could have talked about everything that you've been up to and if you saw any films, but more importantly, get to talk about the real world.
I was being lazy. I was just sitting at a chair waving to people. I didn't want to get up and walk anywhere.
Not a worry. 19 years and counting. How does it feel having something that is it's so established?
Yeah, but it's completely overwhelming. 19 years is, it's serious. Those are serious numbers. So, we're really proud, and it's an incredible lineup for the festival this year. And in fact, love to announce this. It's been my dream since the beginning of the festival. But, we've always done 60, 70, 80, 85% Canadian content. We are 100% Canadian BIPOC content this year in terms of all the films are Canadian by Canadian BIPOC filmmakers, and our industry panels are all focused on, what it is to be Canadian and BIPOC and trying to, create art in the landscape that is Canada.
Okay, now, why was that important? And people should realize with this festival, why was the initiative to make this happen very important, too?
I think it has to start from me personally. I mean, I started my career in Toronto back in the late 70s, and I know what those challenges were there. But 20 years later, when I was, I had to move to Los Angeles to pursue more opportunities for myself. And 20 years later, I would come back to Toronto and realize things were not shifting. They were not moving. These opportunities were still very minimal at best. And even if they were improving a little bit in front of the camera, you would still go behind the camera. And you would not see executive directors. You would not see producers. You would, the executive producers and screenwriters. These were areas that were not integrated or inclusionary in the way that they should be. So I came up with the idea to create Reelworld specifically for that. And even though we couldn't always find enough content to make it 100% of the content, I would always look for international content that would be helpful to BIPOC Canadian filmmakers, either to connect because we have co-production treaties with other countries, or for them to learn and to grow from what other BIPOC people were doing in the rest of the world. But I really feel encouraged by the amount of changes that we've made over the last 20 years. And I feel like Reelworld has been a part of those changes, and that we now, Digstown, on CBC, with a female black lead, with the creator of the show being a person of color, and the showrunner, with the producer, the executive producer of the show being a person of color. I mean, this is just historic, and it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier about all Canadian. How did this come about? And again, why was this part important? Because this is part of the evolution.
Yes. Well, now we realize that there is enough content. There are enough people that we can sustain a whole festival around this. And this is what I actually wanted to do from 2001. But there just weren't enough people there. People, when they look at Reelworld too, sometimes what they're focused on is just the films and the filmmakers. But try and take yourself back to 2001. I could not find arts administrators that were people of color. I couldn't find programmers, meaning curators. So we had to become the training ground for people to learn about how to program a festival, arts administrator, marketing a film festival, events, all those things we've been instrumental in also. And I'm so proud that a lot of people that have worked at Reelworld went on to work at TIFF and work at Hot Docs and work at other festivals around the city, and that has meant a great deal. So I feel like we're an employment agency. we're training people and getting them out there. But even with everything we've done, there's so much more we need to be doing. Like, Rudy, if you and I were to sit down and think about this, who are the BIPOC agents just in the city of Toronto? Who are the casting directors? Who are the managers? who are the distribution companies. We are still, sadly, so far behind in these particular areas, and they really are the gatekeepers. Agents and managers and casting directors and distributors are the reason that product gets out there, that talent gets out there. And if we don't cultivate those jobs for BIPOC people, we're doing ourselves a disservice, not in what we'll call creating a greater Canadian industry that's inclusive and reflective of its inclusivity.
Absolutely. So what's happening this time around when we decide to go to this festival? How is it going to be broken up? What are we able to see? How many films? How is it all going to work?
Oh, fantastic. You want to go to our website, Reelworld, R-E-E-L, reelworld.ca, see the amazing lineup of not only features, which are narrative and documentary, but amazing short programs. We have a partnership with the YEAA, which is an organization within ACTRA, the union, and these wonderful actors who also want to direct have done their short films. We've had a partnership with them for about 12 or 13 years, which has done really amazingly well. So you want to come out and see that. We also have our industry panels. All our industry panels are free. We want to make it as accessible to as many people as possible to come out and see how does one get the opportunity to shadow a director or shadow a producer. We have a whole panel on that. We're working with the Writers Guild, sort of creating a whole, how does one get a literary agent, and how do you create a good working relationship with your literary agent. Telefilm, our big case study. Every year we pick a film that we go through, and from concept to development to production to post, all of that. And that's always the highlight of our industry programming. And then there's so many other professional development things that are happening. Instead of just screening films, this is one of the things we knew we had to change, and I think a lot of film festivals are too. With many platforms that we can now watch movies on, you can't really ask people to come out and just watch a movie. You want them engaged in some way. So after every one of our films, there's a panel discussion, not just with the filmmaker, but sometimes a professor or a journalist, but something that adds more about not just how you made the film, but the actual subject matter of the film. And that's become important. You know, people, the audience has questions sometimes just about what the subject matter is.
Incredible. This sounds so incredible. I love this. But it's still important to know what the opening film is, and do you have a closing film?
Yes, we do. So opening night is the incredible 25th year of Mitzi Bear Claw. It's a fantastic Indigenous film, and it's funny. It's a comedy, but heartwarming, and really about all our films sort of touch on the concept of home and belonging, something that a lot of BIPOC people are always struggling with. You know, how do you make where you are feel like home and family? And our closing night, Becoming Labrador, a documentary that I knew very little about, was the amount of Filipinos that emigrate to Labrador. Now, you can only imagine the culture shock and the weather shock. So this documentary touches on that, and it's really beautiful, heartwarming, and a little emotional at times. But one of the films that we're getting a great deal of attention is Farewell Regent Park, an amazing documentary about something in the city that we're all kind of taking a look at. It's the Regent Park area and the development and the positive and negatives, the people that are being displaced, and also the positive things the development has brought to the community. So, you know, a lot of people are looking at that, I notice, in the ticket sales.
You know, one of the things I think is really important that people should realize is the fact that you have so many different cultures in this film festival.
Yes. You know, when I was starting the festival, the very obvious thing, because I am Black, people just assumed that I would do a Black film festival. But I never thought of the world that way, and I couldn't really put my passion behind something that I didn't believe in. And I really have always seen the world as sort of a very small place, and that we're all just these human beings struggling with a lot of universal issues, which is about trying to be loved and trying to care for the people that we love. And those larger themes touch every culture. And so it was important that my focus has always been about people of color. So whether they're Black, whether they're Indigenous, whether they are other people of color from the South Asian community or Asian community, I wanted us to sort of all pull together and recognize that we are not separate communities with these struggles, but we're all one community with a lot of the struggles that we're facing. And I think that's come across, especially over the 19 years, not only through the films that we've shown, but through the professional development. It's about also educating a lot of young filmmakers into the power of film and what you can be saying that sort of brings other people outside of your culture into the experience that you're talking about.
Okay, so again, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but I'll ask again, where do we get all the information? Where is this all going to happen? And when is this all happening?
Well, it's happening. All the information is on www.reelworld, R-E-E-L, reelworld.ca. It's happening October 17th to the 21st. We are kicking off our opening night at Glen Gould, and most people know that on Front Street. We're doing our industry panels with the Toronto Reference Library, and all the other screenings are happening at Canada Square, Famous Players Canada Square, up at Yonge and Eglinton. Not to be mistaken with the Silver City.
I love it. Fantastic. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you so much for what you've done for Canada. Oh, by the way, just so you know, there's a picture circulating around. I don't know if you've seen it or not, of you back in the day, Boogie, with Paul Godfrey, and you guys are all sitting on the Boogie stage. It's floating around. It's in black and white.
I love it. I hope it circulates to my email.
You know what? I'm going to send it to you because I think it's amazing. You are amazing. And even though every year I always say I'm going to try to make it for opening, I'm truly going to be there for opening. That's a promise.
Oh, I love it. I look forward to seeing you, Rudy. Thank you so much for the support you've given us over the years.
Thanks again. Talk soon. I'll see you on the 17th on the opening.
Excellent. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.